FinListics, what we do is we work with enterprise sellers to understand their clients, so top of funnel type activities to better understand their clients. But as our company evolved over time, as our clients evolved over time, they said, "Hey, that's great that we know this company's cost of goods sold has gone up. What do we do, and how would we measure the value?" So instead of just saying, "Here's the increase of benefit of cost of goods sold from a 1% improvement," they wanted, more a double click, so to speak, that says, "Okay, well, we sell, factory automation. So what are things like material cost and overhead and labor?" And so we started looking around as well, where can we get this kind of information? And I don't remember exactly when or how we found out about APQC, but it was like the Holy Grail. It's like all of a sudden people could do a double click, better align it with their solution. So that was the reason why we came to you guys over 10 years ago. What's exciting about APQC, besides just being a great organization and very responsive, is that constantly adding new KPIs that are very relevant in today's world. And the other part too, everything is AI now, right?
Right.
And I mean, I use it every day. I use Copilot every day. My Microsoft friends, Copilot, I use it. Um, but a challenge is if you, now I've done this before. I'll say, okay, what is the median profit margin for consumer products, personal care products? It it gets kind of close, or what's the average growth rate? But when you start saying, what is the median value around cross sell, upsell, or some things like that, it gets a little interesting. And then we start saying, well, what about the first quartile? Then it gets really interesting. So it's nice about APQC. I've said this before, trusted and verified. We can show here's the, obviously not show the details of the survey, but here's the
Right.
methodology that was used to collect that. So that's what I just find very satisfying in this world of, is it a
Yeah.
hallucination or not a hallucination? And again, I'm not slamming AI, but it's nice to say, oh no, it comes from APQC, and if you can't trust them, then we got much bigger problems.
Yeah, we were going to start a tagline, "We don't hallucinate. APQC does not hallucinate."
Well, so no, I just think the fact that you hear more and more about fact-based discussions. So I would really push the fact that it's fact-based, and you can use it to at least hang on to something in this crazy world that we live in right now, where there is a lot of noise. And as you said, it's not hallucinated. It is what it is. So, for example, one customer that's in the consulting space, specializing in technology, they included FinListics, which includes APQC data, in 15 proposals, and this was through, I think, July, and they won 9 of those.
Oh,
60%
wow.
60% win rate, with a value of $50 million. So it's not just the APQC data, but
Mm-hmm.
they use that to say, okay, we understand this is how you're doing financially. We understand these are your goals and strategies. Here's how we can help. This isn't a promise, but if we could improve your reverse logistics, whatever it might be, by just 1%, it'd be worth this. Or if we could improve, this operational KPI like we've done for other, it's $10 million. So the most recent one was, again, 15 proposals, 9 wins, 60% win rate, $50 million in benefits. Another rather, these are kind of large companies, but not
Mm-hmm.
always. um, they say that they use this again, the financial aspects with their own personal knowledge with the APQC data, and they say that they consistently build a $4 to $6 billion pipeline every year.
Wow.
So I got to start charging them more, and then you're going to charge me more. Wait a minute. I'm not sure this is a good idea. But no, I mean,
Well,
so I
yeah.
mean, those are the kind of stories. I mean, another one is the one person said that they've used this to break into 5 white space, again, technology space. And in their for their company, the average deal size is around 500,000. So I mean, that's $2.5 million in benefits. So we get
Wow.
all kinds of stories like that, where people, the combination, not just APQC, but APQC combined with the financial insights, combined with some of the solution mappings that we talked about. It's been very, very, very powerful. And every one of our clients, I mean, the larger ones will say, yeah, this adds value. In fact, what's interesting is that some of the larger clients are now saying, how do we set up a partnership program where their indirect sellers can also have access to this information? So if it's working for them, why wouldn't it work for their partners?
Yeah, exactly. And you were talking about the GTLI. What about thought leadership? Do you use the data to create thought leadership?
Well, the answer is yes, and how we do that is, in fact, I'm just going to publish an article today for GTLI, and it's about being trusted and verified. Let's talk about tailoring the message and for individual stakeholders. And from a thought leadership perspective, I mean that's part of what we do at FinListics is our clients look to us to say, "Hey, tell me something I don't know."
Right.
Right? You're just not a data provider to us. You're actually a thought leader. And so how we use it is to say, okay, like let's just take this tailoring the message. Gartner says for some of these large transformations for these large organizations, there are like 10 plus stakeholders in these decisions. Well, you just can't go with one message. So
Right.
one of the things that we do is we'll say, look, obviously you got to find out what are they trying to get done, who are the stakeholders involved, what are their initiatives, and then in talking to them, make specific reference to their operational KPIs, and then maybe the next couple of discussions later say, oh, Kathy, for a company your size, if you were to improve cross-sell, upsell by just 1%, it'd be worth this. Well, that's where the APQC data comes in. You have a discussion about how you
Mm-hmm.
can improve this particular KPI. And then with APQC, and it is thought leadership to say, well, make sure you include early on potential financial benefits, not make it sound like a promise, but to
Right.
introduce that financial uh, focus much, much earlier in the process instead of like waiting forever, third or fourth meeting to do that. So yeah, it helps with the thought leadership and being a finance type. You don't have to have things to the fifth decimal place, but we do want things to be directionally correct. And that's what we find with the APQC data.